College football uniforms come in a wide range of styles, from classics that have remained the same year over year for decades now to outlandish ensembles that have been created solely to shock. However, only one team out there has had the audacity to place their school's logo right there on their derriere. Came a tribe from the north, brave and bold. There was nothing brave or bold about Idaho's uniforms when the mighty Vandals made a trip south to Arizona for the 2008 season opener. It was, as the Brits say, pants. Well and truly pants.
You look really stupid.
I-D-A-H-O. Idaho, Idaho. Oh, no.
Oh my God, Becky, look at her butt.
I know I'm not supposed to say things like that.
Yeah, you're a real pain in the ass.
One of the things H.E.'s been preaching to his team this year, no distractions.
Tedger's got a big butt. Tedger's got a big butt.
Shake your ass, but watch yourself. Shake your ass and show me what you're working with.
Okay, buckwheat.
His ass is gonna blow.
Idaho Vandal football is used to being the butt of everyone's jokes, from humiliating defeats, crushing blowouts, to the indignity of being the first school to drop from FBS to FCS to Paul, I'm going to burn 3 timeouts in the opening drive of a game that still ends in a field goal because I made my 5'8" son quarterback and have no idea what I'm doing. Petrino, we Vandals are no stranger to being marooned on the ass end of college football. However, for one game in 2008, we were literally the butt of jokes. Idaho took the field at Arizona Stadium for the season opener in 2008 with the school's classic I block logo on the back of their pants placed firmly between their cheeks. It's seemingly the type of mistake only Idaho could possibly make. The thing is about what is known as Butt Logo Gate is that this was actually one of 2 uniform sagas to have taken place in the first 2 weeks of that September. I'd say it's unbelievable, but for Vandals, it's all too believable. Par for the course, really. Anyway, the story of the Butt Logo pants actually dates all the way back to spring of 2008. Then Idaho announces a switch of uniform suppliers from Adidas to Nike. The hope was Nike would sprinkle a little of that magic Nike dust all over the Vandals duds, which under the 3-stripe brand were pretty dull. Doing this, of course, is a fairly large undertaking because we're not talking about simply football. Every last team at Idaho was going to get new uniforms before their next season started in the 2008-2009 academic year. Mostly what you have here is just choosing a template, putting the Idaho logos on it, matching it with the Idaho color palette, and then approving it. It's not a particularly arduous process. The big departure for the football team is that they were going to be going from white pants and black pants under Adidas. I mean, there was also a gold set of pants in there with the black stripe that I think were last worn in 2005, but really they were just going to have one pair of pants under Nike, and those were going to be Vegas gold. What we do know is Idaho approved a final football uniform design from Nike at some point in the summer of 2008, because this is something Idaho's athletic director Rob Spear later goes on to confirm as all of this is hitting the fan. He clearly states Idaho approved this design. We'll get more into that later on. Summer comes in late August, the new Idaho uniforms arrive, pants and all. We know this because the athletic department trots out the players to model them on the Tuesday before Idaho's season opener that Saturday at Arizona. The school doesn't mention the pants in this announcement, or at least the back of the pants. All of the photos are of the front of players, which is to be expected in this scenario. But everyone has seen the butt logo on the coaching staff and the athletic department. I mean, everyone is going to be aware the moment those uniforms arrive and they see the pants that it has a pretty sizable Idaho logo basically where the anus is. And just to clarify, there's still at least a few days to find some sort of solution here. That solution would not be coming from Nike, though. They tell the school those are the pants you ordered, and if the school wants to buy new pants, they can, but those aren't going to arrive in time for the season opener. There are still other options available to Idaho. Assuming that those uniforms arrived either that weekend or on Monday, there were a few different things they could have done once Nike said, we're not footing the bill here. They could have taken the Adidas gold pants they had last worn in about 2005 or 2006, put a piece of tape over the Adidas logo and used those. Those pants are still around. They're being used mostly in practices by the players, but they had a pair of Vegas gold pants that they could have just taped over an Adidas logo and used for at least one game. They could have also had the equipment staff go down and scour every sporting goods store, every Big Five, every place that could possibly sell football pants in the greater Phoenix Valley, Tucson areas to find 100 plain white pairs of football pants. It would have cost some extra money, but Arizona was paying Idaho $600,000 to participate in this game. So maybe having non-embarrassing pants would have been a sound investment. We of course know Idaho did not choose either of these options. I don't even know if either of these options were floated by those running the athletic department because it was a department full of not particularly competent individuals. So Idaho athletic director Rob Spears sends the team down to Arizona and tells them, hey, guess what guys? You're gonna be playing in these butt logo pants. I just want to stress this though. There were several days for someone to come up with a solution, anything that didn't involve having a logo on the butthole of the team's pants, but no one in that athletic department had the mental capacity or critical thinking skills to come up with anything. I don't even know if they understood why this was such a bad idea in the first place. Now, make no mistake, players and the coaching staff were incredulous about having to play in these butt logo pants. They were coming off a 1-11 season and were already coming under fire. The last thing they wanted was anything that would make that team any more embarrassing to the public or the school. I also believe there were a few individuals in the athletic department who understood why this was not going to be good for the program, but they just were not listened to. The AD likely felt it was going to cause problems with Nike if they didn't wear the pants as delivered, although he goes on to blame the uniform manufacturer later on for putting the logo there in the first place. So why would you be worried about stepping on their toes? It didn't make any sense at the time. Game day does come and the Vandals are well and truly number 2 in this showdown with the Arizona Wildcats. The home team wins 70-0. It was the Wildcats' biggest victory since 1921. Worse yet, a 64-minute lightning delay just compounded the issues where the Idaho team was forced to sit around, already getting blown out and with a logo on their butt. If there was a silver and gold lining, the blowout in rainy conditions caused many people to miss the butt logo. In fact, it's not even mentioned in the immediate aftermath of the game by either side's local media. Down in Tucson, no one talks about it. Up in Moscow, Spokane, the Palouse, again, not mentioned about the pants. This game also not broadcast at all, so no one could have seen it on TV. So what happened? How did attention get brought on to Idaho's butt logo pants? Well, you can thank the school's very own sports information director. The game story on the official Idaho website includes a picture with the butt logo. Of all the photos to use, why pick a complete nothing shot of a player's backside? There were other photos they could have chosen. Look, there wasn't a lot of positives that happened to Idaho during that 70-0 blowout, but there had to have been one that didn't involve showing the pants, like putting the pants in a pretty big spotlight. Naturally, someone down in Boise picks up on this a couple of days later. On Tuesday, the butt logo pants appear on the Boise State message boards. They have found additional photos on the Arizona school website. To understand just how absolutely ridiculous this is, there are several posters on the Boise State message boards. Individuals who cannot do anything but take pot shots at the Vandals, and they're even like, there's no way those pictures can be real. They have to be photoshopped. Not even Idaho could do something that stupid to wear butt logo pants and then show a picture of them on their own website. Sadly, it's all too true, and the story sort of takes on a life of its own at this point because the national media picks up on the butt pants. Butt logo gate is on the sports section front page of the Idaho Statesman. Deadspin talks about it. Most major media outlets feature a brief mention. Looking to control the spin, control the narrative days too late at this point, by the way. Idaho's athletic director then makes a statement to the media that somehow just made everything worse. Spears said the school signed off on the uniform but didn't think the logo would be as noticeable as it was. He also claimed the logo was supposed to be placed higher on the back of the pants. So best case scenario, you thought it was going to look like a tramp stamp. Like, here's the thing, right? Why would you admit to approving something terrible publicly with your defense being, well, I didn't think it would look as terrible as it ended up looking? Just deny, lie, do something else. This explanation just made the school somehow look even dumber and more helpless than it already was, and it gave Nike an out because Idaho had already admitted these are the uniforms we agreed to. The question has always been, how did this happen? And here's what I think took place. Someone in Nike's design department, a low-level employee, super low-level experience, whips up some basic Idaho template, and they accidentally put the I logo on the back of the pants instead of on one of the thighs or even the side where their logos for schools would be. Nike wasn't putting logos on the backsides of pants in 2008, in case you were wondering. Even then, hypothetically, if you're going to put a logo somewhere on the belt line, you wouldn't do it with a logo that goes vertically because, again, it's just going to go down too far. It's going to look really, really stupid. Maybe you would do something on a horizontal angle, but I can't believe anyone at Nike did this intentionally because it goes against their basic design uniforms at this time and just common sense. Somehow, no one inside Idaho's athletic department at the decision-making level flags this error. At best, they thought this was a good look. It was Nike being Nike and doing something bold so 18, 19, 20-year-olds would want to come play for the school. At worst, this was just a scenario of true negligence. Then, instead of doing something when the pants arrive ahead of the season, they wear them anyway. Those butt logo pants would only last for a single game, thankfully, although Idaho's solution is that they simply had to they had to sew out the logo that had been sewn into the pants. They were ready for the game against Idaho State that week. I'm not sure if that was possible to do before the Arizona game, considering they had to send all of the equipment down, but they could have at least started sewing some of them out so not everyone would have had a butt logo. Then you can have some plausible deniability, by the way, like, well, some of the pants came with the butt logo, we just didn't have any other options, whatever the case may be. Here's the kicker though, the pants that have had the butt logo sewn out of them, they're the ones that the school ends up wearing for all of that 2008 season. I'm fairly certain they're in the Idaho uniform rotation several seasons after that because the school never actually redesigns the Vegas gold pants. There's never a set of Vegas gold pants that has an Idaho logo on them. So what likely happened is that the school would just replenish its stocks of Vegas gold pants with the plain Nike swoosh on it. The story is not over, however. Idaho takes the field, sans butt logo pants against Idaho State the next week. They do win that game, thankfully, but during that contest, another uniform controversy arises. The Spirit Squad was unveiling a new outfit that would garner Idaho football more national headlines for wardrobe choices. It was framed that these cheer uniforms were risque, or that somehow they caused the Moscow community to go up in arms, that they were in an uproar over these skimpy uniforms, and that's simply untrue. Here's what happened. A handful of wives of big donors didn't like the Spirit Squad's new uniforms. The thing is, Idaho's Spirit Squad falls under the purview of the student body and not the athletic department. So these donors whose only connection is the athletic department lean on them to make the change. The Spirit Squad wasn't happy considering those new uniforms cost $4,000 and students were not complaining. Spirit Squad donors weren't complaining either. There really wasn't a lot of complaints mentioned. Like, there's talk of people complaining, but the only place complaints are seemingly coming from in the entire school are emanating from the athletic department. They pull basically the only card they have to pull in this scenario. It's rumored that Spear told the Spirit Squad if they did not change their uniforms, they would be banned from all Idaho athletic events. Then the vice provost of student affairs bumbles his way into the conversation and pretty much utters, well, students aren't complaining and there aren't a lot of people complaining, but somehow, some way, these uniforms aren't appropriate for college athletics? Why? Because there's some midriff? If you want to make an argument that those uniforms are inappropriate, you can make the same argument for what the Spirit Squad wore before and after that. Not that any of that matters because the vice provost for student affairs and the athletic department just made the decisions for students anyway. 2 weeks, 2 stupid uniform controversies that made national headlines, and a lot of proud Vandals. As for those butt logo pants and butt logo pants gate, well, it's just one in a long line of really stupid things the Idaho Vandals have done over the years. Honestly, It's sort of become our folklore. A folklore that is mostly stupid, self-inflicted wounds. You know, like the university taking ASUI off the name of the ASUI Kibbe Dome, despite the fact they actually paid to have that facility built, and William Kibbe could never come through on that donation he promised the school. If there is a silver lining, many of the players on the 2008 team that went 2-10 would be part of the school's legendary humanitarian bowl winning side a season later.
Enderly, tons of time, over the middle, he scores!
That, though, is a story for another day. As great as the 2009 team was, I think it's time the athletic department recognizes the 2008 Idaho Vandals bobblehead. Nah, what about a Joe Vandal butt logo pants bobble butt? Now that would be cool. Maybe do right by the 2008 Spirit Squad too, who got railroaded by athletic department bullying a fairly constant under Rob Spear. IDAHO, Idaho, Idaho. No. Look, I love Idaho. I love my alma mater. I loved my time there. I learned so much there. But honestly, that athletic department over the years has been, well, they're the kind of athletic department that puts a logo on the anus of their football team's pants. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you would like to know the full true story of Idaho's famous Kibbe Dome, you can check out the video in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. And until next time, I am Cheyenne Hollis. This is The Touchback. And as always, hashtag take it out to the 25.
Shake your ass, but watch